You could search for my last name and my wife's last name, and you'll probably find somebody related to me, specifically any of my two sons. And then you can call him and ask him, hey, are you doing anything? No, I'm not interested in the property. We're gonna let that be taken by the government. We rejected the inheritance, which is something that I am seeing often, because people owe more than what the properties are worth. So they're rejecting the acceptance of the inheritance.
Wait, why would you reject something?
Because it owes more money than what it's worth.
Oh, the mortgage, okay, got it.
Mortgage, HOA, property taxes, or perhaps, let's suppose the property is worth $50,000 and the lawyer that they know is charging them $20,000. They don't have the $20,000 to pay the lawyers, so they know, I don't care. Or something that you see often too, they live in the States, they didn't talk to the father in 20 years or more.
Right.
It brings them bad memories. They don't want to come back to Puerto Rico, things like that. So, all kinds of reasons to reject inheritance. So, once you're able to find them, the owner, it's a matter of working out. Or let's suppose that you don't see any property that you're interested in, or you're not walking around that often. How can you find opportunities right behind your computer? This is like any website. They recently, although this has been around for a long time, they have recently invested a lot of time in marketing this. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I've known them for 4 years, but it's only recently that I have seen them really active in engaging people to pay their subscription fee. It's around $45 per month. And it'll give you access to all the auctions that are occurring at the courthouses. So
Any courthouse.
any courthouse, any courthouse. One important thing, they don't have them all. They have a lot, but it wouldn't, on some courthouses, I visit them at least once a week, especially San Juan, Carolina, and Bayamon. And I visit Bayamon because it includes Dorado. So any foreclosure in Dorado and Guaynabo, which is where I live, any foreclosure that's going on in Dorado and Guaynabo, it'll probably be sent to the courthouse of Bayamon. So the foreclosure process is a long process, and this is the final stage of it. So once you have sales date, it's at the end of the road. And here you'll see their menu, and you'll have on their auctions, this is in Spanish. You have inicios, subastas, recursos, which is leasehold, and then why invest in Puerto Rico. So,
Spanglish.
It's in Spanish, and then log out. So, let's go to auctions.
So I'm sorry to keep asking so many questions.
No, don't worry.
But and you're probably going to answer this in a second. But in the States, like I've literally bought a house from somebody on a Thursday and it was going to auction on Tuesday. When it's at this stage, can the owner redeem their rights to it? Can they get it out of foreclosure if they pay it off, anything like that, or is it too far?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That can be done.
Okay.
And it's been done.
Okay.
I have seen that on both sides of the equation,
Right.
where I was working for the bank,
Right.
and somebody like you went to Avi, which owed us X amount of money,
Right.
and then you bought the property from Avi. Avi came here, paid us off, and then I called my lawyer or the supplier of the bank and said, cancel the auction.
Yeah.
Write a motion requesting cancellation because this was paid off.
Okay. Yeah.
Or settle. Perhaps it was
Yeah.
a short sale that we approved.
Sure.
So yeah, that can happen. As
Yeah.
long as you're the rightful owner of any property in Puerto Rico, you can do anything until the moment that you're foreclosed on.
But then the contract will be giving three parties, the buyer, the seller, and the bank. Because you want to make sure you take over after you pay them off.
Correct.
Right.
Could the bank doesn't get in the contract because we're the mortgage
Oh,
holder,
yeah.
or the bank is the mortgage holder. I don't use these anymore for banks. So, but we would have to approve a short sale if he's gonna pay us off
Less
a
than-
lesser amount than what we're owed.
Right.
So, yeah. And when you click on first auction, it'll give you all the auctions starting on the day that you're doing the search and the amount. One of the things that I like from this is that you can, filter
That's the starting amount.
correct the starting amount. So this is an apartment in Fajardo. The starting bid is $1.
Hey, so
Let's- Let's look at it. Seems like interesting, yeah. So, although it starts in $1,
Right.
the
Is the ones that it said like maybe 100,000 or something like that, that's because maybe they owe 100,000, so it's starting at that point? Is that what that is? No.
it depends on what kind of collateral you have. If you have a mortgage over it, then it'll start at the amount of the mortgage on the first bidding day. On
Right.
the second is 2/3, and on the third it's half.
Ah.
And when the bank or the plaintiff decides to take or foreclose on the property, it's part of the strategy of the bank. So there's no defined way for me to tell you, the bank's gonna take it on the first, or the bank's gonna take it on the second or the third.
Right.
And how about, is the premium amount included in the starting bid?
No.
No.
So-
Premium is a part.
Yeah. Buying through a foreclosure will clear any mortgages that are in second or after tier,
Right.
but it will not clear
Okay.
property taxes, nor HOA, nor IRS will do, those two.
Okay.
Did you say it includes a second mortgage? If they have a second mortgage, maybe from a different bank, it's also clear?
It is.
Okay. So it's sold by the first lien holder, but then second lien holder basically gets nothing.
Correct.
Okay.
If it's the opposite, the second lien holder, the one who's foreclosing, then if you show up at an auction sale and decide to bid on it and you win it, you're actually buying the property with first mortgage, CREM, and HOA.
Right.
So,
And you have to pay it right then and there.
see, that's one of the downsides of buying a foreclosure.
Yeah.
The marshal won't allow you to leave the room to go for more money.
Right.
You have to pay right there.
Right.
In fact, there is
Do people bring like cashier's checks? That's what we used to do.
cashier checks in favor of alguacil del tribunal, which is the marshal.
Okay.
But to Mario's point, you're not paying the overdue CREM and HOA then and there, you're just paying the bank's
The mortgage.
mortgage,
Right.
okay?
The
Then
the bid amount.
okay,
Yeah, it's
Let's say it started at $1 and Mario bid 5. So right there, he has to pay 5.
okay.
And in that occasion, they will accept up to $10,000 in cash. Everything else, it has to be actually $9,999. They will
Yeah.
take $10,000 in cash. Take in consideration that the amount owed in principal is $100,000. So, although it's starting at 1, the plaintiff can increase all the way up to the total amount owed if he wants to.
Right.
And the plaintiff is competing against bidders with credit. You guys or us guys are competing there with cash. So that's important because you might go there really happy, I'm gonna buy it for $2 because nobody else showed up, and then the plaintiff said, okay, I'm owed $150,000, the property is worth $120. I'll take the bidding all the way up to $150. That's common.
Yeah.
80% of the information that you're gonna see here doesn't even qualify for due diligence. which is moving to the next step. Let's do a title search, let's look for how much it owes in CREM, and let's figure out how much it owes in HOA to see what's gonna be the total cost. And then let's go see the property to guesstimate how much it will take in repairs. So, that's something important. Yeah, this is an apartment. It's apartment 1011 at Paseo Esmeralda. Here we have a map of more or less where it is.
Okay.
It has 92 square meters. Sometimes they have this in square feet, sometimes it's in meters.
And maybe you said this before, but is there a way for us to know if this is the first lien or the second lien? Because if it's the first lien, it's getting cleared and the others are wiped out, that's one thing. But if it's the second lien and I gotta worry about a first lien,
which is bigger usually.
So
Right.
here, property is subject to the following liens.
okay.
Said before or preferred.
Doesn't say.
Sometimes it doesn't have any preferred liens.
But if it would have, I would think if it has a second lien, it would show it there
would
as
show
well.
it, okay.
It would say it here.
Or if this was the second lien holder foreclosing, then it maybe would say there's a first lien.
Correct.
Okay.
It would say they have to, if they don't disclose that, and they have to serve
Right.
the first lien holder,
Yeah.
they could cancel the foreclosure process.
Sure.
And the auction sale. So,
Would the title search show the lien holders?
yes.
Right, so if you're really interested in the property,
Right.
you could, in
Right.
advance of the auction, get the title search done for $67. And then you would have the history, so you would be forearmed.
Correct.
Yeah. Another question on the science part and then the art part. I subscribe to this, I know it's ridiculous and so that's fun. I've gone through the and the lawyers that represent this, they continually bid up to the amount owed. So I'm on the third auction, the bidding starts at 50, but the abogada is there, she goes all the way up to that, so, and I don't know if you have cracked that
Yeah.
code.
Let me give you some insight on that. It's currently, it's a matter of current market conditions. The scenario that we're living, which it wasn't like that,
2 years ago.
pre-pandemic. So, yeah, 2 years ago. Banks would wait until the third auction to plead the deficiency. And if anybody showed up there and bid $1 over the third, let me give you a better example so that you can get to know what's first, second, and third. $1 over the third auction. Let me go for the Avenida Magdalena property.
Casa.
Sí, la casa en la
No es la última que está ahí.
que como era 3 millones, hubiese pensado. Vale. So, this house is in Condado.
And it's going to the second auction.
First auction was Tuesday for 3 million. Then next Tuesday, 2. And then on the third, half of the amount of the mortgage. So, in a case like this, 2 years ago, the plaintiff or the bank would allow the property to go to the third auction, and if anybody comes in and bid $1 over it, they would take the money and pursue the deficiency from the debtor, from Jose Miguel.
No, so they're.
Pursue the deficiency from the debtor.
from the debtor. From the
So
bottom.
Jose Miguel
Would
was,
still owe whatever amount. Let's
Yeah.
say that he owes $4 million in total. And you bought it for 1,000,001, 1.5 million one.
Yeah.
The deficiency between the amount owed and the
so 2.5.
winning bidder, it's still owed by the guy who was foreclosed on.
And the consequence for the guy is credit report, or does the credit report even work in Puerto Rico?
We do, yeah.
Okay, so the credit score is affected. The guys.
Yeah, it's a collection.
By this time, it's really, you're not paying on the mortgages, it's all
Okay,
going
it's
into
already
the-
affected.
It's been at least 9 months, so, and the bank, to start the foreclosing process, has to wait 120 days after your first default. So, by the time you get here, you don't have credit, it's in the 400s.
So,
Yeah, it's,
Robert, I buy it for 1,501. I own the title, I own the property, but Inter-American is still short 1.5.
2.5.
Was it 4? Or I think Primero was 3.
Oh, no, but you said 4, okay, sorry.
So 1.5, so they're short 1.5, so they can still continue to, but they have no collateral. I mean,
correct. They have
What do they do?
collateral,
Sue Jose Miguel?
it's a personal loan, like a credit card.
They just come after your assets.
so they'll go after that.
They're gonna go after your kids' funds for college. They're gonna go after
Okay. Civil.
bank accounts. They're gonna go after your cars.
So it's a
Um,
it's
It's a collection of money lost.
But today, REOs, now let's fast forward to today, they don't, they hold up to 3. Have you seen?
Not only that. Let's say we all show up at the auction, and we're all gonna bid against each other. The bank, if they're owed $4.5 million, they could increase the starting bid from 3 million to 4.5. They can always increase up to the total amount.
Oh, yeah, the judgment.
I'll give you an example. I was representing an investor at an auction of a property in Condado, and it's a friendly process. And after a while, you get to know the people that often go there. So I talked to the person representing the plaintiff, and I said, "Mano, do you have a payoff statement?" Starting bid was $436,000. And I said, "Yeah, I do have it." And my instructions for the people that I represent are, if any bidders shows up, we're gonna go all the way up to $1.2 million, which is the amount owed. And the amount that you bring in is very private, and you don't want to disclose that because you know your bullets. You know that there are bullets, they will outbid you. So it's really important not to disclose that.
Is there an online auction? This is all physical in the courthouse? Is there an online version of this? No. You have to.
There's an online version, but it's private, like auction.com, Centro Subastas, Reality Realty has a version of it too.
So it's private, so it's not from, so these are government hosted auctions. So the online ones are private
Correct.
auctions. And they're just doing it from their own inventory.
Or through a bank that requested them to do them for them. Mostly hedge funds.
So most of the foreclosures happening in Puerto Rico are through government or private auctions.
The foreclosure process always go through the courthouses.
Okay.
Always go through the courthouse. You cannot foreclose on a property without going.
So then the private ones are really pre-foreclosure.
They could be pre-foreclosure. Some people do auctions on mortgages, or REOs that have not sold in, I don't know, X amount of time. So they say, okay, we want to sell these 20. Instead of assigning it to different realty companies or real estate agents, they say, no, we want to do an auction. you have the platform, we'll assign it to you, and then you'll do the process.
So what happened to that case? Yeah.
So when he told me that he was gonna go all the way up to $1.2 million, I said, "Oh, the property at most it was worth $550." My client was willing to pay $100,000 over, and we brought checks to it. So I, very hesitant, said, "Okay, let's go in there." And when I said that, he thought I was going to bid over. So when he opened the auction at $1.25 million. And he lost the opportunity to create a deficiency from the client that owes him money. This auction was particularly interesting because I own a realty company, it's called Puerto Rico Real Estate. We are licensed locally and we supply a service to a large hedge fund in Jersey, which was the same people foreclosing on the debtor. So I got a call from the internal legal counsel and said, "Robert, you're part of our real estate agents, but they told me that they saw you yesterday at an auction." He presented investors and said, "Yeah, what happened?" I told him the story. So that same day,
They called back.
they wrote an email to all the lawyers that supply them service. And when you do this for banks, you know all the lawyers because those were my best friends. We were hiring lawyers to foreclose on people. That's what we were doing. I said, "Robert, I received an email from the hedge fund that you represent here saying that this is the way to bid." And they actually taught them how to bid. So this hedge fund now doesn't open they go little by little, 500, 600, 650. Because that will give them the ability to create efficiency, which is an asset. And that asset, although it's worth 5 cents on the dollar, it has value. Because you can pursue it.
But that efficiency is created by the investment groups. The REOs, the banks I've seen, I've talked to the lawyers, some of my friends, they bid it all the way up and the bank doesn't care. Banco Popular especially.
How long have you been here?
Long time, 20 years.
That's crazy. No local bank will pursue efficiency.
Right.
Banco Popular doesn't do it. Oriental Bank doesn't do it. First Bank doesn't do it. If you don't send a collection letter within 60 months, you lose the opportunity to collect on that efficiency. And they don't pursue those efficiencies.
Only
Say it again? The banks
Local banks,
don't go after.
they don't go after the
they
efficiencies.
go all the way to what they're owed.
Yeah, once they finish the foreclosure
Well, of course,
process.
that's what they want. They want to get paid.
Yeah, but you want to get paid the most amount that you can get paid. And if you pursue the deficiency against the guy who owes you money,
But what do you mean the deficiency?
so
The starting bid?
no.
La diferencia entre lo que pagó el que estaba en la subasta y lo que debe el deudor. Exacto.
Okay.
Yeah, but normally, those people, they already have back credit, they probably won't pay anyway, so that's why the banks figure they are not gonna pursue.
But you pursue it, you
Yeah,
put it.
and that's normal.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'll pursue it.
It doesn't make sense to invest money pursuing something that will not give you the return that will exceed the amount that you're investing in lawyers letter and all that. But what about the other 20%?
I think Jason's locked out.
What about the people that are hiding assets, that are opening accounts in Panama or whatever else?
5% of something large is a lot.
Correct. So you see both sides, and I'm glad you know that. Local banks, they don't pursue
Yeah, I've
it.
been against them.
Yeah, they don't do that ever.
And I talked to the lawyers beforehand, right? So that's the other art piece is, you guys talked about